What's up, everyone? Welcome back. 47 driver here. I'm an active operational CH-47 Fox model pilot, for those of you who don't know. And it's a very exciting day. We've got the DCS CH-47 has released into early access today, so that's pretty awesome. I'm excited to show it to you guys. It's going to be a quick down and dirty video, kind of a first look. Here's how you get off the ground stuff, and I'll do some more in-depth content later. But external model looks phenomenal, as to be expected from Eagle Dynamics. Internal model looks great as well, and I mean, honestly, everything sounds and looks wise is really good. Yeah, back into the cockpit. Here we are. Very well done. It looks true to life. Everything's where it should be. Yeah, I mean, they did a really good job as usual with this stuff. Soundproofing all looks good. They even decided to add the MCU hoses that sit behind your head in the left seat and lean. They fall down and cause you to have to lean your head forward, and it destroys your neck after a long night flight. So that's cool. I am really stoked for this. DCS holds a very special place in my heart. I've been flying DCS for a long time, well before I started flying actual aircraft in real life. And it's really cool that I get to show you what I do and show you the aircraft I fly and the sim that I love so much. So let's roll right into it. I'll do some breakdowns on what you're looking at, what things do and whatnot later. But this is just going to be a quick down and dirty, get the aircraft started and take it out and fly, and I'll talk about a couple things. But so for starters, left seat's going to do the run up in this aircraft. Right seat can assist with some things, but generally it's done by the left seat. So he's going to be on the flight controls, he or she, and you'll be over here hitting all the switches and starting the engines and everything. So to start, we're going to hit the battery switch on the overhead panel and the electrical panel here. That'll fire up a couple things like your number 1 CDU, your chronometer, and your 2 ESIS, or standby attitude indicators right there. After that's done, go ahead and hit the APU switch here, bring it to run for 5 seconds. And go to start for 2. And release that. And you can hear the startup sounds of the APU. They're spot on. And wait for the ready light and the tone change right there that you just heard in the APU to turn on the APU generator. It's going to get your avionics on. Disclaimer here, a lot of things are missing from this build that really make the CH-47 very easy to fly. I can tell you right now, I'm going to struggle flying this aircraft in DCS because of those things not being present at this time. It's okay. I'm happy that we have it, and I think it's still going to be very useful and very fun, but I would like to see that stuff prioritized by Eagle Dynamics, because I've flown it around a little bit just messing around, and it's not there yet. It does fly pretty well, and it flies different than any other helicopter in the game, but they really need to prioritize the AFCS and the DAFIX, as well as the LCTs and the dash functions to make this thing really fly like the real one. All right, so the AP generator's on. You see I've got messed around with the MFDs a little bit. I run the ICAS on my inboard. It's engine indication and crew alert system. It's going to give me all my appropriate engine indications. I'll talk more about those in the in-depth video. I'll run the WICA warning, cautions, and advisories page on the center MFD, and I'll have the fuel page on my outboard MFD in the left seat. After that, you're going to turn on your PTUs, your power transfer units, to give utility hydraulic pressure to the flight controls for ground operation. I'm also going to quickly go ahead and turn on the backup power here. It provides FADEC power to the primary system. It's going to get rid of these fail flags and the FADEC cautions on the WICA there. So now, I mean, it's just due to limited functionality. There's not a whole lot we have to do in terms of avionics here. It's just not implemented yet. So we're pretty much ready to go. So I'm going to bring these ECLs into the ground detent, which is right there. I just got that to a key bind I'm going to verify on the FADEC panel here that my NR switch is at 100%. My primary and reversionary switches on number 1 and number 2 are in the primary mode. Also, this load share switch should pretty much always stay in torque. I'm not sure why that's defaulted to PTIT, but we don't fly like that. I'm going to turn my left main fuel pump. I don't know why I brought both of these to ground. Actually, I'm thinking of actual procedures here, and we ain't doing that. So bring number 2 back to stop. I'm going to keep number 1 in ground. Left mains are going to come on. The cross feed's going to come open. 100%. Primary on 1. I'm going to go 1 clear to start. I'm looking at number 1 NG right here. Torque right here. PTIT right here. And then fuel flow right down there. And also your engine oil pressure right there. So I'm going to clear it with my crew chief that we're good to start. That's obviously not going to be simulated or anything until we get some multi-crew action maybe. I'm going to start my timer here. Alright, and hold the start switch to the number 1 position until NG reaches 12%. There's 12, release the switch. PTIT is going to come up, there we go. Fuel flow is going to start coming up, and that oil pressure is going to come up above 5. We're waiting for the NG to be above 50%. And the oil pressure above 5 within 45 seconds. And we're already good to go. NG stable, PTIT's stabilized, oil pressure's good, fuel flow's good. Let's get started on 1, reset our clock. And do the same for the number 2, bring number 2 ECL to ground. It's in the detent now. The fuel will remain the same, 100%. Primary on the number 2 to clear start. Hold that to the number 2 side with the right click. Watch your NG. Up to 12, release that switch. PTIT is going to come up. Fuel flow, pressure. And just looking back and forth between all those things. Wait for that. I forgot to start the timer, but I don't think we're going to have any sort of engine starting issues in this sim until maybe later down the road. They'll model some stuff like that, but I doubt it. Alright, NG stable, O's above 5. Good start on number 2 inside. And our power turn and oil pressures are all above where they should be, so I'm going to go ahead and bring number 1 and number 2 to flight. This is a key bind. You would do this very slowly and methodically, but it's not going to be that way in this, so I'm just going to start kind of jumping them forward. It's going to jump around on the powertrain page, but that's fine. Once we get up to 100% NR, the FADEC will control everything. There we go. Alright, so we're at 100%. 1 and 2 are in flight. Appropriate cautions are inactive. ICAS page looks normal. 100% plus or minus 1 is okay. And we're looking good. Alright, once that's done, I'm going to go ahead and turn off my PTUs. Do not turn off your APU generator yet. We're going to do the gen swap, so I'm going to turn on the number 1 generator, and this isn't fully simulated, so I'm just doing this a little quickly, but number 2 generator's on, APU generator's off, APU is off. That is the order. And you're pretty much good to go now. So I'm going to talk about taxiing this thing. In the more in-depth video, I'll kind of explain why we do things a certain way, but you don't touch the flight controls when you're on the ground for the most part. Definitely not the pedals. You're going to steer with power steering, which is attached to the aft right landing gear and is controlled via this knob right here. To enable the power steering, you're going to bring the power steering swivel switch up into the steer position. And now you're going to steer with this knob, put it to a key bind. I will tell you I'm going to suck at this. It's very difficult in this for me to get the hang of it, and it's no fault of Eagle Dynamics. But it's this knob is sprung to center where it's at right now, so you're fighting resistance as you turn it, so it's very easy to look outside and not look at the switch and tell how much you're turning the switch. And also you have that feedback from the aircraft. You just don't get that in the sim. I'm struggling with it. That's just because it's a simulator, not the real thing, so that's fine though. So to taxi this thing, all we're going to do is going to release the parking brake. We've got the swivel switch and steer. Everything else remains the same on the AFCS. The only way I found to do this so far is just to tap the brakes. It releases the brake handle. I don't really know how to set it. I haven't looked through the keybinds too much other than what I needed to get by to do this video. And then you're going to add some power. So I'm looking at my torque here, which is on the outboard MFD at the top, and also on the ICAS, you got your individual engine indications here. So you can see we're already rolling forward. And I'm just going to add a little more power, probably like 16 to 18% maybe. That's what you should look for. And then I'm just going to gently steer the aircraft with that power steering knob, my keybinds to the right. Just be easy with this, because if you go too far, you're going to phase the wheels, and the aircraft will just not do what you want it to do. So, like I said, I've been struggling with this, but it's going to take some getting used to, but it's okay. It's going to be my issue with this simulated version of the Chinook. You can see I'm already all over the place. I think I phased the wheels or something there. Might need a little bit of work, because it kind of seems like it. I have to stop to get it to steer in the right direction again sometimes. It's almost like it's just kind of sliding on the aft gear. I'm straightening it out, kind of verifying where I'm at here. I kind of doubt that I can make this turn, but I'm going to try. Just slowly starting to add it. Take it out as the aircraft swings around, because I don't want it to be too tight of a turn. Add some more, swing her around. Alright, that's looking alright. Try to get ourselves lined up a little bit here. I'll lock that while we're still rolling, just to ensure they lock, and then I'm going to tap the brakes. Alright, take the thrust out. We're now neutral on the flight controls. The thrust is at the detent, the ground detent. Switch to the right seat, just because. And then we're going to pick it up. So to pick this thing up should require practically no flight control input other than thrust. This is the thrust control lever, not the collective. So we're just going to add thrust. Shouldn't need to add any pedal. It is going to fly a little different than the real one, so it's not going to be super pretty with me, because I'm going to try and fly it like the real one, and it's not going to do what I want it to do. But once again, that's stuff's coming later. I think they'll get it right. I hope so. So I'm just bringing in the thrust. I'm having to add a little bit of yaw, which hasn't been the case the times I've done this in the past. And I immediately... Oh boy, now it's getting away from me. Oh, you know why it's getting away from me? So it looks like they've modeled a little bit of AFCS off functionality. I did not turn the AFCS on. So that's why the yaw got a little weird, because that's what it will do in the real aircraft. A little bit more violent than that. But what I'm going to do now is that I hover, I'm just going to turn the AFCS on. And it did seem to kind of capture and fix it. So, yeah, before you take off, you need to go down to your canted console next to the CDU. Let me get this thing trimmed up so I can look down. 1 second here. Alright, so center canted console, your AFCS system select switch, you need to turn that to both. Don't do what I just did. It will give you a little bit of limited functionality in this until they implement the full AFCS system. But yeah, now we're at a stable hover. It should be practically no flight control input. Like I said, I had to add some yaw, because some pedal, just because the AFCS was off, and it was getting a little squirrely on me once again because the AFCS was off. But now I'm just at a stable hover. I barely had to add a little bit of cyclic to keep her at a stable hover, and I just used my CDR, my trim release, to lock those controls in right there. But yeah, not really anything else. No real pedal input. Not really a whole lot of cyclic input. It's very nice. So now we'll do a takeoff. I'm just going to keep this power setting. I'm just going to simulate kind of a minimum power takeoff. So if I'm really heavy, just going to kind of nose it over, keeping the power the same. The torque will climb a little bit on its own, but I'm not touching the thrust in this case. Building some airspeed as she comes up and becomes aerodynamically a little bit more effective. She'll want to kind of start climbing on her own, which she's doing right now. So just constantly adjusting my trim. I waited a little long to take that back out after I hit the trim release there. And now we're off. So I'm going to climb a little bit with the cyclic. I'm just going to give myself a little power. I'm going to come right, just enter a little bit of a traffic pattern. You will have to do a little bit of pedal input in these turns. That's just a limitation of what they've built into the module right now. They don't have turn coordination simulated yet, which is a thing above 40 knots in the Chinook. You don't have to use the pedals to coordinate turns. So you're going to have to use a little bit of pedal when you're flying this thing, and that's been kind of throwing me off. And also the nose low attitude is just exaggerated because the dash and the LCTs are not simulated yet, which I'll talk more on in a later video. But I'm doing a traffic pattern right over an active airfield. I would never do this in real life, but it's a game, so I don't care. Yeah, as the airspeed comes up, she is very stable. It's just not nearly as stable as the real one, which is fine. Still having a good time flying it so far. And she likes to go fast. I'm at 100 knots now. I could go way faster if I wanted to. I'm empty too, so that'd be pretty simple. All right, I have no idea where I took off from in relation to where I am right now, because I wasn't really paying much attention, but I'm going to try to find it. So let's see. I'm kind of climbing a bit. I'm all over the place here. All right, I'm down there. So it's going to be an ugly pattern, but I'm going to kind of stomp my right boot and get this nose around. And we're going to do one thing I've noticed is on these turns, the nose wants to climb a lot. That's just because none of this stuff is, the AFCS and the DAFIX and anything are really simulated how they should be. So you're going to have to add a little bit of forward cyclic to keep the airspeed up on your turns. So I got my landing area in sight. I'm just going to start taking the thrust out, taking the power out, maintaining my speed for now, and getting a good rate of descent going. This might be ugly, I have no idea. Doing this all off the cuff without a script. I don't know what I'm doing. Getting her trimmed up here, so now she holds what I just put into it. About 1,000 foot per minute rate of descent right now, it's fine. I'm still at about 70 knots, so I'm going to start bleeding off some of that speed. Taking the power out as I bring the nose up will allow me to maintain a good rate of descent and slow down at the same time. Now I'm feeding that power back in to start cushioning my rate of descent, just in the trim as necessary, so I don't have to fight so much spring pressure. I'm at 40 feet now, coming down, feeding the power back in, feeding it back in, feeding it back in. There's my hover power. It should be, yep, it should lock you right in at a hover. Then I'm going to come straight down. It's important to neutralize your flight controls as soon as you touch down and take your thrust out. You can do that by binding the trimmer reset function somewhere. So anything that you've trimmed on the aircraft, if you have the cyclic over here and the pedal over here and you trimmed it up and it's flying like that, you want to make sure to take those inputs out as soon as you touch down and neutralize the flight controls prior to the thrust lever being at the ground detent, which is in the game is going to be all the fold down pretty much. All right, so that's how you land. It's pretty easy. Pretty stable helicopter. It'll only get better as they add more functionality to the AFCS and DAFIX. Just trust me on that. This thing is very, very easy to fly, which is a good thing because you got a lot on your plate when you're flying around. A lot of people to talk to, a lot of rules to follow, a lot of stuff to look at, and it's nice to have an aircraft that's very easy to fly. So yeah, that was just a quick down and dirty. Here's how you fly around. Here's how you start it. Here's how you land. I hope you guys got something from it. I wanted to keep it short and sweet on this one, and plan on some more content, some more in-depth content coming up very, very soon. I'm gonna be working on that this weekend. I want to thank all of you who have watched my previous video. It was a lot more than I expected. I want to thank all of you who have subscribed and shown an interest in this channel and this content. It really means a lot. It was totally just an off-the-cuff kind of split-second decision to even do any of this stuff. But I'm glad some people have taken an interest in it, and it's really cool. It's motivates me to keep doing this stuff, and I'm really, really happy that we have it in DCS now. I really like playing DCS, so you guys can expect some more stuff on this for sure. Thanks again, and stay tuned for the next one.